Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For this week's update, I pretty much spent most of the week working on the wiring. So I got all the turn signals mounted, basically all the wiring, it's about 99% done. It's obviously not all tucked into the headlight and everything yet, because I kind of wanted to do a dry run and make sure everything's plugged in, make sure everything works, since I did do a bunch of things that aren't using the stock components. So I put in, the ignition, the kill switch, and the start button are down on that battery box that I built. I have an aftermarket kind of universal speedometer that has the, turn signal indicator, oil pressure, neutral light, and high beam indicator all built into it. So I had to wire all that in. I also have a non-stock universal turn signal switch that has the horn button, high, low beam, and then of course the turn signal. So I had to wire all that in as well, and all of those are universal. So it wasn't just plug and play like you would hope it would be, but that's what you got to do with universal stuff. So with the help of my my book here with the wiring diagram, I spent quite a few hours going through and figuring out what wire was which, and then how it corresponded with the wire on the whatever universal part I was using, kind of matched them up. And then what I did to go even a step further and make it easier to diagnose and for the next owner is I actually took the stock wires out of the switches that were all messed up and broken, and I actually cut the bullet connectors with a couple of inches of wire off of each one, and then soldered it and heat shrinked it onto the wire that corresponds with it. So the actual end of the wire will match up on most of these color for color with what it was on the stock switches. The exception being some of the grounds. On these bikes there is black wires, which all the solid black wires in the bike are a common power, which is a little bit confusing because normally on cars black is ground, but on at least on Hondas, the solid black wires are common power. So if you need to pull 12 volt power off of something, generally you could just tap into any of the black connectors or black wires. And then the green, the dark green, is a common ground. So you'll see when you're kind of digging into the wiring that a lot of those components plug into like a connector that has 4 connections into it that's a solid green, and that's ground for all of those things. Or vice versa with the black, you'll see like all of the indicator lights all have a common ground that goes into one green, or a common power that can go into one black. So just while you're kind of figuring out your universal components, just know that if you just need a ground in general, you can generally go off of a solid green wire, or if you need just a power for something, you can go off of a solid black. So I will kind of walk you through what I did, kind of show you how it works, and show you, I won't go into too much detail about exactly what wire, because that would take 45 minutes to go through with what wire matched up with what. If you have a question about kind of doing your bike, feel free to leave a comment and I can help wherever I can. It's pretty easy once you kind of get a hang of what you're looking for, and you definitely are going to need a wiring diagram to figure it out. You don't have to have a book. There's a lot of great resources online to find good wiring diagrams, so make sure to have one of those. So yeah, I'll give you guys kind of a walkthrough of what it all looks like now and how it all works. Alright, this is the current state of the wiring now. So you can see I have the battery in place. All of the main components are kind of tucked in here. I left this out because I wanted to show you. I did have the stock, like whatever they're called, tube style fuses in here. And I was having an issue with that because with the way that's designed, I'll grab it right here, the way that's designed, it's very easy for these to short on any other metal thing. So if it touches the side of the box, even though it's painted, you know, it can touch a bolt, it can touch another metal component in there, and it was, you know, potentially shorting these out. So I thought about just kind of wrapping this in some kind of sleeve, but I thought that was, you know, kind of not the best way to do it. So what I did was I actually just bought 3 inline fuse holders that use a blade style fuse, and then wired them in. So it's pretty easy. You're just like 2 reds, 2 brown with red stripe, and 2 solid browns. So I just cut them off and wired in a you know, blade style modern fuse for each one. So I'll tuck that in there, but it does have modern fuses now. Ignition switch, really easy to wire. Just goes right into the stock plug right here in the middle of the bike. This is the kill switch. So that's your coils are hot, coils aren't. Start button. And then as we go towards the front of the bike, you can see obviously I haven't wrapped all this wiring up yet, or you know, tucked it away, or even all of this will be run into the headlight. I just left it all out here, like I said earlier, to make sure I can get it all figured out and make sure everything works first before I do all the zip ties and, you know, electrical tape and tucking it all in the headlight and all that kind of stuff. So this is my universal speedometer here. So it's pretty awesome. I got it on eBay. It was about 90 bucks. So it's the right ratio for Hondas, which I think is like 2240 to 60, something like that. I think I left it in a comment on one of my videos. And then you see it has the high beam, neutral, oil, pressure, and signal indicators built right in as well. So I'll kind of show you. I'll turn on the key here. So you see the headlights on now. Gauge lights up. All of those are kind of, they look like they're lit, but that's just the backlighting there. So if I were to turn on the high beam, see the high beam switched on, and then we have a nice bright blue indicator for the high beams being on. Turn that off. I put the left turn signal on. So that's flashing. You see my left turn signal down here is flashing. And then also my left turn signal on the end of the bike is flashing. So my flasher relay that I got is 4 LED lights. And you have to have a flasher relay. It does have that really annoying beep. I'm just going to leave it like that for now. If that beep annoys me too much, I'll pull the flasher relay out, pull it apart, and just cut the wires for the speaker. Since I have the indicator, I don't really think I'm going to be leaving them on. And if I do, you know, it's my own fault. So I think I'm going to probably get rid of that beep. But I'll see what it sounds like once the bike is on and you have the seat covering it. You know, I may not even be able to hear it at all. So I'm not going to bother digging into cutting it apart now if it's not going to bother me in the long run. But I did get rid of the headlight switch. So normally on a stock bike you can turn the headlights on and off. I did get rid of that. My reasoning for that was most modern bikes, the headlights just on all the time anyway for safety, just another kind of way for somebody to see you coming. It may have kind of a negative effect on the charging system, pulling that amperage all the time, but it really shouldn't be bad. I'll kind of monitor it, and if I find myself killing the battery, then, you know, maybe I'll just wire in a switch. It'd be pretty easy to do. I just didn't want to do it now because I don't really have a good place to put a switch, and also I figured it's better to just have it on all the time anyway. So I'll kind of keep you guys updated on that once I start to ride the bike. If I have an issue with the charging system not being able to keep up with the headlight being on all the time, you know, I'll throw a switch in. It's not hard to do. It's actually this wire right here, but that's kind of the way most of the wiring is going. So I know it looks pretty crazy, but it's really not too bad. A few things I have to kind of figure out now is the neutral indicator. I don't think I've hooked that up yet. And then oil pressure, I have to test to make sure that that system's working. So how that works, the neutral indicator gets power all the way up through the indicator and all the way down to the neutral switch itself. and then once it's in neutral, that actually grounds that circuit, and that's what makes the light go on. So I can trace it and make sure it has power all the way to the switch, then ground it and make sure the light goes on, and then I know whether it works fine or if it's an issue with the switch itself or whatever. So I can kind of dig into that a little bit and make sure that's done. Once all that's done, then I'm ready to start to wrap this up and actually put it into the headlight and kind of get it all buttoned up. So I'll show you guys the kill switch and the start button as well. And if you guys need any help of how to wire these up, let me know. But this is a kill switch, so obviously we don't have any exhaust or carbs or anything, so it's not going to start now, but then this is the start button here. So you can kind of see how that works. And I can just turn it off, and got my brake light all wired in and everything as well. My switch works for both the front brake and also the rear brake switch works, so they both work as they should. So yeah, no issues to speak of. I've tested that I do in fact have spark. So what that means is this week I'm going to get all this wiring finished up, and then I'm going to throw the carbs on there, throw the exhaust on there, and then we'll be ready to do a first start of this. I've actually never heard this bike run. When I picked it up, it already had the carbs pulled off. It actually had the top rockers pulled off, and the exhaust was off as well. So the guy I bought it from says, oh yeah, it was running last year, but my friend took it apart to check the valves and do something else. So it's Craigslist. So as far as I can tell, it's working well, and it turns over smoothly and everything, so I don't perceive to have any issues, but I never know until I get in there. So that'll be kind of on the to-do list this week, is throw some carbs on there and the exhaust and try to get this thing fired up, and we can check how the tune is on it and kind of go from there. Then we'll paint the tank, and this thing will be about time to wrap up. So I'm going to cut this one here. If you guys have any questions about wiring, I don't mind helping wherever I can. I've done it quite a few times. I don't claim to be an expert, but I definitely, I just did it on this bike, so it is kind of fresh on my mind, so I may be able to help you better now than I would if I hadn't just done it. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions about how to wire anything in particular, or about the Speedo I got or anything, but so far so good. I appreciate you guys watching, and like I said, let me know if you have any questions. Throw a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't yet, and we'll be back with an update next week. Okay, turn the key to my first position, hit the button. Oop. Yeah, this is why we don't try to do it with one hand.